tie the Wrecking Ball Baetis. This is an attractor Baetis pattern. It's really easy to tie and makes for a great looking fly. So here I have already a size 14 Hanák H500BL. This one is this nice curved hook with a nice inwards pointing hook. And I've already put on a brass bead. You could also go for tungsten if you want this to sink even faster. So here I have a 2.8 millimeters brass bead. In order to secure the bead and to add a little more weight to the fly, I'm going to use lead-free wire. This is 0.015. And I like to use a bobbin holder like this to apply the wire. This way you lose a lot less material and it's also really easy to apply. So here for this size 14 should make about 9 turns or so. Then break this off close. I'm going to add just a drop of glue to secure this even more. Then push the turns up inside the bead. I always put this on, or I always counter wrap this. That way this first turn here will then be in the same direction as you will wind your thread. So here when I start the thread and come with my first turn over, it will push the wire down, so this way you won't have any piece of wire sticking right out. This first turn here will just blend in or get even tighter when you wrap the thread. So this is a quite neat trick if you have problems with your wire. Another way you could do it is to use flat-nosed pliers, and you could just make the wire flat at the end and then wind it down, and this way it's also easier to bind down, and it also makes for a nice taper. So here I've started the thread, I've put some turns up the wire and down again, and now I'm back here just behind the wire. Take it down a few turns. I tied this fly about a week ago, and when I did this I tied it without any tail fibers, but for this one I'm going to tie in some tail fibers. Here, pheasant tail. This one is a natural color, so I'll take about 5 fibers, put them 90 degrees from the stem, then tear them off. This will keep all the tips aligned. And then what you want to do is to tie this in with some loose turns, and then what we can do is to pull the ends here to length, and the length should be about a hook gap in length, or maybe a little shorter, you can decide here. And here we can take the thread down a little more into the band, and here you can decide if you want your fly a little longer or a little shorter. I prefer to have it just a little down the band. Then what you want to do is to tie these pheasant tail fibers up right to the bead, and we will leave this here. This will become a lot more obvious later, so just leave this at the bead. Then on our way down we want to tie in some tinsel. Here it's in a size medium pearl, and I'll tie this in just right up to the wire. This way it will continue the taper of the fly, and we'll tie this in on our way down. That way we don't have to go up and down too much on this fly. Then for the body you could use almost any kind of dubbing. I will go with some Opossum, and you could tie this in olive, black, or any color you would like. I will go for a natural color. This one is like gray-brown, and I forgot to mention before, but the thread I'm using is the Nanosilk from Semperfli. This one is in the color Beige, so it works really well with this natural Opossum. So put on a quite short and thin dubbing noodle, and here we want to keep this not too tight as we will rib the fly later. So starting here right at the back, we can start building up the body, and we want to form a nice taper from the back to the front, and then take your tinsel and make sure the first turn starts where you want it, and then with some quite heavy turns you can really pull on this. We want to rib the fly, and this will segment it and as well give the fly some shimmer and make it look a lot more lifelike. And here, when you reach the thread, we can tie this in or tie this up right to the bead, and then here you don't want to cut this off, but we can tie this down back again to the start of the body. This will then come over our thorax and be like a second thorax cover. Then to give the impression of some legs on this fly, I will use a little more of this natural pheasant tail. So take, here you want 8 fibers, so take your 8 pheasant tail fibers 90 degrees from the stem, then tear them off. And you want to align these so the tips are facing forward. And then we can use these ends here to divide this in 2 equal parts. And as we had 8, we want to have 4 on each side. And then tie this down, some quite loose turns, then pull these, and I like these on the rather short side. And then you can bring back these ends here as well, and we will tie all this down at the start of the body. Make sure these tips here are facing forwards. We can then make some turns to tidy up the thorax area and make sure all these fibers are well centered. Then to build up the thorax, I'm going to use the same opossum dubbing as I used for the body, but I've added a little bit of fox squirrel to it. This will give a more spiky look and also darken it a little bit. This is to represent, as most natural nymphs or larvas and all insects have just a little darker thorax than the rest of the body. So this is to imitate that. When you reach the bead, we can pull these pheasant tail fibers back and make just a few turns in front. Then pull the pheasant tail ends up to the bead as well, and then we can tie this off, trying to keep everything centered. A few turns, and then take the tinsel as well, and we will put this right in the middle, few turns to tie this down as well. Then pull everything back and make just a few turns in front. It's really great with this super thin thread. You don't build up any bulk at all, and you could also pull this really tight, and each turn you make here will come right back inside the bead, so you won't ever see it. Once you've secured this, we can then cut all this off quite close, and here you don't have to worry if you have any of these little ends here sticking up. This will be covered with UV resin later. To tie off the fly, I'm going to put just a little bit of glue onto the thread and then do a 4-turn whip finish. Pull tight and cut off your thread. So now the last thing to do on this fly is to add just a little bit of UV resin, and you want to add this onto the thorax cover. This will secure it, and you want to put, or to make it go out just a little bit onto the bead. With a dubbing needle you could adjust the shape of it just a little. Make sure to push it down into the ends here and onto the thread as well. And once you're happy, we can secure it or set it with the UV torch. A few seconds is enough. Then I will just add a little more to build up the shape of this fly. And as you can see, this will have a magnifying effect as well on this thorax cover and tinsel, so it gives a really nice look to the fly. And then with the UV torch again, we can set it a second time. It's much easier and better to do or to build this up with thin coats instead of thick ones. This will give a more durable fly. And then what I like to do is to add just a really thin coat of varnish to the top. This will secure it even more and make the fly even more durable. You can drag this along the bottom and catch a lot of fish before it breaks. And then once this is dry, what you should do is to pull out some of this thorax dubbing, and this will represent legs and gills as well, and will enhance the look, or enhance the overall look of the fly. And there we have the Wrecking Ball Baetis. Thanks for liking and commenting. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time, and happy time!